Sable Mercer called Cora Lin a thief before the whole mercantile could finish staring at the 2 silver spoons on the counter. Outside, the east stage creaked in its harness, 10 minutes from leaving Blue Mesa. If Cora did not find work before those wheels turned, she would lose supper, shelter, and the last clean piece of her name. Mr. Pell looked at the spoons like they might burn his counter. Cora kept one hand around her cloth-wrapped bread starter and said, "Then Sable Mercer lied." One miner took his hand off the nail barrel as if theft could rub onto him. Mrs. Pell lowered her eyes and kept folding flour sacks. Cora understood then that Sable had not only accused her, she had borrowed the whole room's silence. Sable stood near the front door in a black riding skirt and a hat pinned sharp as a warning. She was in her late 40s, with pale eyes that measured people by the trouble they might cause. "Mr. Pell, don't extend credit," Sable said. "The Broken Star has enough missing stores without hiring strays who carry other folks' silver." Cora pushed the spoons closer to the storekeeper. "Buy them or don't, but do not call me thief because another woman finds the word useful." Sable smiled a little. "Useful women have references. Hungry women have hands." A man standing near the stove turned at that. He had come in so quietly Cora had not noticed him. He was tall, sun-browned, and worn thin in the shoulders, with a black hat held in both hands. His face carried no hurry, only tiredness and something locked down behind it. Sable's mouth changed as soon as she saw him. "Asa, this is not your concern." The man looked at Cora's wrapped cup. "What is that?" "Starter," Cora said, "for bread. You keep it warm on the road. If I don't, it dies." For the first time, the corner of his mouth moved. Not a smile, not quite. "I have a house with a dead kitchen." Sable snapped, "You have me. I have a winter crew coming in hungry and a stove nobody has used right since Mother died." Asa Calder set his hat on the counter. "Mrs. Lin, if you'll take 2 weeks' trial wages, the Broken Star needs a housekeeper." Cora heard the stage driver call, 2 minutes. Sable stepped between them. "She has no reference." "Neither did half my hands when they rode up," Asa said. "Hire her and every account in town will hear you keep thieves under your roof," Sable said. "Do not expect Mercer wagons to carry shame for free. You will bring a thief into your mother's kitchen." Asa looked at the spoons. "I'll pay her wages in front of Pell. She keeps what she earns. She sleeps in the cookhouse. If she wants the stage later, I won't stand in the yard and block it." It was not flowery. It was not warm. But it was the first offer that did not treat Cora like a thing being passed from hand to hand. She picked up one spoon and left the other on the counter. "Half for flour," she told Mr. Pell. "The rest against coffee if your courage grows." Mr. Pell flushed but wrapped a small sack of flour. Sable watched like she had just seen a match fall into dry grass. Asa carried the flour sack to his wagon without touching Cora's elbow or taking the cup from her hands. That mattered more than any pretty promise would have. The Broken Star lay 6 miles north, where the grass thinned and the red land rose in shelves toward the pine line. The ranch house was broad and weather-gray, with a wind-bent porch and a kitchen wing that looked as if it had been shut against sickness. Cora noticed the details before she climbed down. The smokehouse door hung straight. The water barrel was covered. The yard was swept but not cared for. Men could keep a place standing and still let it go lonely. Sable rode in ahead of them and unlocked the kitchen with a ring of keys at her belt. She did it slowly, as if the metal itself proved her right to command the room. She unlocked the pantry, showed Cora the coffee, sugar, and flour, then locked it again before Cora could step closer. "You touch only what I count out," Sable said. "Hungry hands wander." "You'll use the back stove," Sable said. "Not Mrs. Calder's main stove." Asa set the flour on the table. His eyes went to the big black range in the center of the room, then away from it. Cora saw dust on the stovetop, clean plates stacked but unused, and a long table with one chair turned toward the wall. Grief had a smell in that kitchen. Cold ash, old lavender, and bread pans left too long without bread. "Where do the men eat?" she asked. "On benches in the bunkhouse," Sable said. "It keeps them from tracking mud." One of the ranch hands at the door muttered, "Keeps us from eating hot." Sable turned, and the man shut his mouth. Asa opened the cookhouse himself. It was small and plain, with a cot, a washstand, a peg for clothes, and a door latch that worked from the inside. He placed $2 on the table. "First week in advance," he said. Pell saw it. Cora did not pick up the money right away. "If you believe I stole spoons, say it now." "If I believed that, you would still be in town. And if your aunt tells you tomorrow that a sack is missing." Asa's eyes moved toward the house. "Then tomorrow will need more courage than today." That answer did not make her safe. It did make him honest. By sundown, Cora had cleaned the back stove, fed her starter with a pinch of flour, and found beans, onions, salt pork, and a crate of apples gone soft on one side. Sable still kept the key ring at her belt like a medal. The crew came in with the sour mood of men who expected another thin supper. There were 5 of them, dusted from saddle to boot. The oldest, Tom Vane, looked at Cora and said, "You the new cook or the new argument?" "Depends how much you complain," she said. That earned one rough laugh. Sable stood by the pantry door. "Do not get comfortable. Mr. Calder has not decided whether she stays." Cora put a hot skillet on the plank table. "Mr. Calder hired me for 2 weeks. If he shortens that, he'll say it himself." The men looked at Asa. He had stopped in the doorway, hat still on, as if crossing into the kitchen might cost him, his gaze fixed on the black range. For a moment, Cora thought he would leave. Then he took off his hat. "Eat," he said. He did not sit at the long table. He leaned by the door with his plate in his hand, but he ate what Cora cooked. The men noticed. Sable noticed most of all. After supper, Tom Vane carried his plate to the wash bucket instead of leaving it for Cora. "Beans didn't taste like punishment," he said. "High praise in Arizona," Cora answered. Asa's eyes warmed for half a second. Then Sable's voice cut across the room. "A clever woman can season bad intentions." The young hand who had laughed dropped his eyes to his plate. Tom Vane looked at the locked pantry door before he looked at Cora. On the broken star, even hunger asked Sable's permission. Cora turned with a wet plate in her hand. "Then you should be careful with the salt, Mrs. Mercer." The room went still. A younger hand choked on a laugh and turned it into a cough. Sable stepped close enough for only Cora to hear. "You think a hot meal makes a home. I buried better women than you from kitchens like this." Cora's first thought was to leave before dawn. Her second was of the stage fare under the cookhouse mattress and the road east that ended in another town with another closed face. She washed the plate. Then you know kitchens remember who starved them. The next morning, Sable refused coffee to the crew. "Stores are short," she said, locking the pantry. "The new woman used too much flour." Cora had used 1 measured scoop. She said so. Sable lifted the ledger and tapped a page covered in her own sharp figures. "The book says otherwise." The men grumbled, but no one challenged the woman with the keys. Cora made corn cakes and apple peel syrup, then watched 3 riders from Pike Mercer's freight wagon stop at the yard fence before noon. Pike was Sable's brother, a broad man in a red vest with a smile that treated every person as already priced. He called to the hands, "Hot stew at my wagon, coffee too. Calder signs with me, you boys eat right all winter." Tom Vane looked at Asa. "Boss." Asa's jaw tightened. "We have work here." Pike laughed. "You have a cold kitchen and a new thief near your stores." Cora started toward the fence, but Asa's voice stopped her. "No." It was not command. It was warning. Pike wanted the quarrel in the yard where he could make her look small. 2 hands went to Pike's wagon anyway. One came back with a full cup of coffee and guilt on his face. Tom Vane did not come back at all. His bedroll was gone by dusk. By dark, Tom's empty hook in the bunkhouse looked louder than any argument. 1 missing hand meant 1 more rider's work on every man left behind. That was the first cost Asa paid for keeping her. Sable made sure Cora saw it. A ranch can lose a good hand faster than it can lose a bad cook. Cora found Asa in the barn after dark, rubbing a frayed bridle with more force than leather needed. "You can send me away," she said. He did not look up. "Is that what you want?" Want and wise are not always the same. Tom was looking for a reason to leave. "Your aunt gave him one." Asa's hand stopped. "Sable kept this place fed after my mother died. And now she keeps you afraid to feed it without her." That landed harder than Cora meant it to. Asa looked toward the dark kitchen windows. "My mother died in that room. I was on the South Range. Sable was here. She says without her, the place would have gone under." "Maybe that is true." "You don't sound convinced." "Truth can become a leash." He looked at her then, and for the first time his quiet did not feel empty. It felt afraid of what might open next. The next day the flour was gone. Not all of it, enough to matter. The coffee tin was missing too, and Sable stood in the pantry doorway with both hands folded. "Search the cookhouse," she said. Cora went cold. No. Pike Mercer had arrived again, pretending to inspect a wagon wheel by the yard. 3 ranch hands stood nearby. Asa came down the porch steps, face set hard. Sable lifted the ration ledger. "If she has nothing to hide, she will not mind." Cora did mind. She minded the way the men looked at her cot before they looked at her face. She minded Mr. Pell's silence still stuck to her name. She minded that a poor woman's privacy was always the first thing people spent. "I will open it," Cora said. "No man goes through my things." Asa nodded once, her hands her trunk. Sable's eyes flashed. She had wanted him to order it. She had wanted Cora handled like property under suspicion. Cora unlocked the cookhouse trunk. Inside lay her second dress, a packet of letters, a needle roll, and under them 2 stained flour sacks and a coffee tin that smelled sour. One hand swore softly. Sable said, "There." Cora picked up the tin. The coffee inside was damp, ruined with lamp oil. Whoever had planted it had wanted proof that smelled like guilt. Asa reached for it. Cora held it back. "No," she said. "If I stole it, I would not pour oil in it and sleep above the smell." Tom was gone, but the youngest hand stepped closer and sniffed the tin. "Lamp oil," he said. His eyes moved to Pike's wagon. "Same smell as the rag hanging from your brake lever." Pike's easy smile twitched. Pike forced a grin. "Maybe you aren't clever." Asa pointed to the ledger in Sable's hand. The page said 1 full coffee tin missing before sunrise, but Cora had not been given the pantry key until after breakfast. The room noticed before Sable spoke. Cora looked at him. A foolish thief hides stolen goods in her own trunk. A lazy liar plants them there. Sable stepped forward. "Do not speak to my brother that way." "Then tell your brother not to stand in my doorway smiling at a trap." Asa's face changed. He looked from Pike to Sable, then to the ledger in Sable's hand. Proof had finally stepped into the open, enough to save Cora from silence, enough to make Sable dangerous. "Pay her 1 day and send her on," Pike said. "I'll bring supper, then we can talk like family, Asa." The east stage would pass Blue Mesa the next afternoon. Cora had hidden fare for it under her mattress, but that night she took the coins to Mr. Pell's store and bought flour, coffee, and salt. Mr. Pell would not meet her eyes when he wrapped the parcel. He slipped the stage ticket beneath the flower string, then pulled his hand back. "No," he muttered, ashamed of his own fear. "Not yet." "Mrs. Mercer won't like this," he said. "Mrs. Mercer can season her bad intentions with her own salt." He almost smiled, almost. When Cora returned to the ranch, Asa was waiting at the yard gate. "You spent your fare," he said. "I spent my money." "You could have gone." "Yes." "Why didn't you?" Cora shifted the sack on her hip. "Because if I leave under the word thief, that word rides with me. Because your men are hungry. Because that kitchen is not dead. And because you looked at that tin like you knew it lied, but you were not yet brave enough to say it." Asa took that without flinching. "You're angry." I am tired of being measured by how quietly I accept insult. He opened the gate. What do you need? Tomorrow, nobody eats until you choose where trust lives. Asa did not answer quickly. That sounds like a hard supper. It should be. By late afternoon, Cora had bread rising, beans thickening, coffee boiling, and every plate set on the long table in the kitchen nobody used. Her hands shook only once, when she placed Asa's plate at the chair that had faced the wall. She turned that chair around. Sable came in and stopped, as if she had found a stranger sitting in church. Who told you to touch that? No one. That was Ellen Calder's chair. Then it should face the people she fed. Sable crossed the room and reached for the plate. Cora caught her wrist, not hard enough. Do not. Sable stared at Cora's hand, offended that a crushed woman still had fingers. Outside, Pike's wagon bell rang. Men gathered in the yard. The smell of stew came through the open door, rich and deliberate. Sable pulled free. You see, my brother feeds what you cannot. Cora stepped to the doorway. Asa was there with 3 hands behind him. Pike stood by his wagon, holding up a tin cup of coffee. Last chance, Calder, Pike called. Sign over winter supply rights and I'll carry the crew till spring. Keep that woman and you can eat pride. Sable lifted the ledger. Asa, enough. Your mother trusted me with this house. Sign with Pike before you lose every hand. Cora took off her apron and laid it on the table. I will not cook as a thief, she said. Sable's mouth tightened, then leave. Gladly, if Mr. Calder pays the full 2 weeks he promised, and says to my face that he believes I stole from him. Pike laughed. You're bargaining from an empty pocket. Cora looked only at Asa. No, I am bargaining with the one thing I still own, my name. The kitchen went quiet except for the boil of coffee. Asa stood at the threshold. Cora saw the truth of his fear now. It was not the stove. It was what eating there would admit. The room was alive. Sable had not saved it by keeping it cold, and grief had been used as a lock. Sable must have seen it too, because she moved fast. Asa, if you sit there, you dishonor your mother. That was her last weapon, and she knew exactly where to put it. Asa looked at the chair. Asa laid the ledger beside the old ruined tin. This book accused her before she had a key, he said. That is not accounting, that is a trap. Then he took the pantry keys from Sable's belt. She gasped, how dare you? This is my house. It was your mother's house. And she fed people in it. He walked to the table. His hand hovered over the chair back only once. Then he pulled the chair out and sat down. No one spoke. Cora did not rush. She put bread on the table, then beans, then coffee. She set the first plate before Asa. Sable said, she could have poisoned your stores and you would thank her for it. The youngest hand stepped back from Sable then, not from Cora. Asa picked up the bread. If Cora wanted to harm me, she would have taken the stage with her money. She spent it feeding my crew. That proves nothing. It proves what I needed. He ate. The room did not cheer. It did something worse for Sable. It believed him. It was only bread, a piece torn by hand, still warm, with no ceremony around it. But every man in that kitchen understood what he had done. Asa Calder had trusted Cora Lin in the one room Sable had guarded with grief. Tom Vane had not returned, but the other hands came in from the yard one by one. The youngest took his cup from Pike's wagon and poured it out in the dust before stepping inside. The young hand wiped his mouth with his sleeve. I carried that coffee from Pike's wagon, he said. It smelled clean there. The ruined tin smelled like his lamp rag. Pike's face reddened. You boys want hunger, follow him. The oldest remaining hand sat at the table. I'm tired of eating threats. Another followed, then another. Cora served them because she chose to, not because Sable ordered it. Her hands steadied with every plate. Sable made a final reach for the ration ledger. Asa closed his hand over it first. No more, he said. You cannot run winter without me. Then I will learn hungry before I live owned. Pike slammed his cup against the wagon wheel outside. You'll come begging by first snow. Cora turned from the stove. Maybe, but if he does, he will know the price of your stew. Pike looked at the men seated inside and saw that the price had already gone too high. His wagon had food, but no obedience. His sister had a ledger, but no keys. His purchase offer had needed a hungry house, and the house was eating. The unsigned winter contract lay on Pike's wagon seat, clean as a wound. No man reached for it. No man asked his price. Sable stood very still. For a moment Cora thought she might apologize. Instead, the older woman lifted her chin. I kept this place alive. Asa's voice softened, which somehow made it firmer. You kept me afraid. That cost Sable more than shouting would have. Her face emptied, and for the first time she looked less powerful than tired. But tired was not innocent. Asa placed the key ring and ledger on the table between himself and Cora. You will pack tonight, he told Sable. Pike can take you to town. Sable stared at him. For a cook. For my house. Cora did not touch the keys. She did not want Sable's place like a prize taken from a fallen woman. She wanted her own name clean enough to sleep beside. Pay me first, she said. The men looked up. Asa did too. Cora met his eyes. If I stay, it will not be because I had no fare. Pay me what you promised, then ask if I will work tomorrow. Something like respect moved through the room, quieter than applause and worth more. Asa counted the full 2 weeks in coins and set them by her hand. Then he pushed the East Stage ticket Mr. Pell had sent back across the table. Pell brought it with the flour, he said he owed you courage. Cora looked at the ticket. She had not known Pell had done that. She had not known Asa had let him. Sable gave a bitter laugh. There it is, she has her road. Yes, Cora said, I do. That ended the argument better than anger could have. Sable had wanted a trapped woman. The ticket made a free one. Pike left before dark with his wagon half full and his sister silent beside him. No grand speech put Cora's name above the store door. The Victory sat in the kitchen with dirty plates, paid wages, a cold ticket, and men who had chosen where to eat. After supper, Asa found Cora by the cookhouse, counting the coins into her small purse. I should have trusted you sooner, he said. Yes. He accepted it. That helped more than a pretty denial. I let Sable speak for my mother's house, because I was afraid of hearing it empty. Cora tied the purse shut. It was not empty, it was waiting to be used. Will you take the stage? The question came out level, but not easy. Cora looked toward the road. In the dusk, the stage track ran pale. For a year, roads had been the mercy she trusted. I will decide in the morning, she said. Asa nodded. Then in the morning I will hitch a wagon if you need it. And if I don't? His eyes went to the kitchen window, where lamplight made the glass gold. Then I will wait at the door until you say I can come in. Cora almost smiled. You learn fast. Slow enough to cost people. He knew it. Trust had come late, and late trust did not erase the bruise of waiting. The East Stage came at sunrise with dust already lifting behind the wheels. Cora stood at the ranch gate in her brown dress, shawl tight around her shoulders, ticket in one hand and the little starter cup in the other. Asa stood 10 paces back, where a man could be seen without blocking the road. The driver slowed. You riding, ma'am? Cora looked at the empty place beside him. She could climb up. She could go east with wages, bread starter, and her name no longer bent under Sable Mercer's hand. That mattered. For the first time in days, leaving would not be flight. She folded the ticket once. Then she held it out to the driver. Give this to Mr. Pell. Tell him to sell it to the next woman who needs a fair road. The driver took it, puzzled, then tipped his hat and rolled on. Cora watched until the dust thinned. Only then did she turn. Asa had not moved closer. The kitchen door stood open behind him, but he waited outside it with his hat in his hands. Cora walked past him, crossed the threshold first, and set her starter cup near the warm stove. She struck a match, lit the fire, and listened as the first small flame caught. The silver spoon she had not sold lay beside the starter cup, catching the stove's first light. Yesterday, the room had weighed her like stolen goods. Now the fire answered her hand, and Asa waited until she invited him across the threshold. "Mr. Calder," she called. Asa looked up. Cora hung her shawl on the peg by the door. "Breakfast will be late if you keep standing in the yard." He stepped in only after she said it, and Cora turned back to the stove by choice.